There are 3 plants growing on 3 different continents that should have nothing in common. One grows on a volcanic island 290 kilometers south of Tokyo, where Japanese emperors once exiled criminals to die. The second grows wild along the stone walls of medieval European monasteries, where Benedictine monks copied its image into illuminated manuscripts for over 1,000 years. The third grows across the river plains of southern India, where Ayurvedic physicians have prescribed it for 4,000 years, before the word medicine had been invented in any language we still speak. 3 plants, 3 continents, 3 civilizations that never communicated, never traded, never shared a single page of botanical knowledge with each other. And yet when you cut the stem of any of them, the same thing happens. Bright golden yellow sap rises to the surface of the wound. Not white sap, not clear liquid, yellow. The color of turmeric, the color of warning tape. The color, as the Japanese put it, of something your body was never supposed to forget. Each civilization, working in complete isolation from the others, arrived at the same conclusion about that yellow sap. It extends life. It prevents the diseases that come with age. It makes the old appear younger, and it keeps the young from becoming old before their time. The Japanese named one of these plants tomorrow's leaf, because if you cut a leaf at dawn, a new one grows back by the following morning. The Europeans called theirs the swallow's herb, because medieval observers believed swallows used its yellow sap to restore sight to their blind young. The Indians called theirs the golden one, and they ground it into paste that brides have applied to their skin on wedding mornings for over 40 centuries. 3 names, 3 traditions, 1 compound family, 1 mechanism. In 2016, a team of European scientists confirmed what all 3 civilizations had known for thousands of years. The yellow sap contains compounds that trigger a cellular cleanup process called autophagy, the same process that fasting activates, the same process that the longest living humans on Earth depend on, the same process that the modern pharmaceutical industry is now spending billions of dollars trying to replicate in patentable molecules. The plants were never lost. The knowledge was never destroyed. It was simply made unprofitable. And in the modern world, unprofitable is the same as forgotten. This is the story of 3 plants, 3 continents, and the yellow secret that 3 civilizations agreed on long before any of them had a word for science. Hachijo Island sits in the Philippine Sea like an outpost the empire wished to forget. The island is volcanic and wind-scoured, humid enough that most crops rot before harvest. For centuries, the Japanese government used it as a prison without walls. They sent political dissidents, inconvenient nobles, and condemned criminals there to die quietly, far from anyone who might remember them. The exiles were not supposed to survive. Many of them did anyway. They survived because something grew on the volcanic cliffs that nothing else would touch. A green, celery-like plant with thick stems and lobed leaves. When the exiles cut it for food, they noticed the wound bled a bright golden yellow, like a candle flame frozen mid-flicker. When they ate it, because there was nothing else to eat, they began to outlive their guards. By the Edo period, this was no longer a survival food. It was medicine. Samurai chewed the stems before battle. Mothers steeped the leaves in tea for sick children. One 18th century shogun became so convinced of its power that he ordered the plant cultivated on the mainland and restricted its export, because he did not want rival clans gaining access to it. The plant was called ashitaba, tomorrow's leaf. The name was not poetry, it was instruction. After the Second World War, the American occupation restructured Japanese agriculture and pushed traditional foods aside in favor of Western imports. Ashitaba retreated to the islands where it had always grown wild. The mainland forgot. The islands remembered. Today, the 2 regions of Japan with the highest centenarian populations on Earth, Hachijo and Okinawa, are also the 2 regions where ashitaba consumption never stopped. Okinawa alone has 5 times as many 100-year-olds per capita as the United States. They did not achieve this through pharmaceuticals. They achieved this by eating, every single day, what their great-great-grandmothers ate, a plant that bleeds yellow. Right now, Silicon Valley startups backed by billions of dollars in venture capital are racing to synthesize molecules that will do what this plant has done for 300 years. They are filing patents. They are promising breakthroughs. They are preparing to charge you a monthly subscription for the privilege. 4,000 years before any European scientist isolated a flavonoid, the physicians of the Indus Valley were already grinding a yellow root into oil and prescribing it for the same conditions that the modern world now treats with patented anti-inflammatories. The Sanskrit name was Haridra, the golden one. The English name, much later, was turmeric. Turmeric is not the same plant as ashitaba. The botany is unrelated, but the principle the Ayurvedic tradition built around it is identical. Yellow sap, yellow pigment, yellow oil, all considered evidence of a specific kind of healing power. Ayurveda placed Haridra at the center of a category of plants called rasayana, which translates roughly as that which extends the path of life. The longevity category. The same category in concept that the centenarians of Okinawa filled with ashitaba. Indian physicians prescribed Haridra for inflammation of the joints, for digestive disorders, for wounds that refuse to heal, for the slow, degenerative diseases of old age. Brides applied it to their skin in a ceremony called the haldi, performed in the same form for over 4,000 years across the entire subcontinent. The reason was not aesthetic. The yellow paste was believed to protect, to purify, to extend. In the past 2 decades, modern research has confirmed an enormous fraction of what the Ayurvedic tradition claimed. Curcumin, the active yellow compound in turmeric, has been studied in over 15,000 published papers. It reduces chronic inflammation. It modulates the same cellular pathways that ashitaba's compounds modulate, through a different molecular key, but the same mechanistic lock. The global market for synthetic anti-inflammatory drugs sits at $26 billion a year. Haridra did the same job for pennies, 4,000 years before patents existed. The drugs are newer. The plant is older, the mechanism is the same. In the cloister gardens of medieval Europe, behind the stone walls of Benedictine and Cistercian monasteries, monks cultivated a plant they called Chelidonium majus, Greater celandine, the swallow's herb. If you cut the stem, bright orange-yellow sap wells up from the wound. Medieval herbalists were fascinated by this sap. It appeared in nearly every European herbal manuscript from the 9th century forward, including the famous works of Hildegard of Bingen, who wrote about it in the 12th century as a remedy for tumours and persistent skin conditions. Paracelsus, the Swiss physician who effectively founded modern pharmacology in the 16th century, prescribed it for liver disease. The sap was used externally for warts, for wounds that would not close, for skin growths that physicians considered abnormal. It was also used internally, in carefully prepared microscopic dilutions, for jaundice, for digestive complaints, and for the slow inflammatory conditions that medieval physicians grouped together under names that no longer translate cleanly into modern English. Modern phytochemistry has identified the active compounds in greater celandine as a family of alkaloids called isoquinolines, including chelidonane, sanguinarene, and berberine. These compounds, in laboratory studies, have shown anti-tumor activity, antimicrobial effects, and the ability to influence the same cellular cleanup processes that ashitaba and turmeric modulate. The modern market for synthetic liver and upper gastrointestinal therapeutics exceeds $35 billion a year. The medieval monks did not have billions. They had the yellow sap, and they had 1,000 years of careful notes on how to use it. 3 plants, 3 continents, 3 traditions. The same color sap, the same category of effects, the same intuition that whatever made the sap yellow was also what made the plant powerful. This is no longer coincidence. This is convergence. In 2016, researchers at the University of Graz in Austria published a paper in Nature Communications, one of the most cited scientific journals on Earth. The title translated from the technical language said this: the flavonoid called 4,4-'dimethoxychalcone, the active yellow compound in Ashitaba, extends lifespan across multiple species by triggering autophagy. Autophagy. Remember that word. Yeast cells lived longer, fruit flies lived longer, roundworms lived longer. The mechanism was identical in every case. The yellow chalcone told the cells to take out their own garbage, to clear damaged proteins and broken mitochondria before they accumulated into the diseases we now accept as inevitable. This was not folk medicine. This was peer-reviewed, replicated, published science, and it confirmed in molecular detail what the centenarians of Okinawa had been doing every day for 3 centuries. Around the same window of time, parallel research streams confirmed similar findings for curcumin from turmeric and for the alkaloids in greater celandine. Different compounds, different molecular keys, the same underlying lock. All 3 traditions on 3 continents had built their longevity practices around plants that activated the same cellular maintenance system that modern science had only recently learned to measure. Now, the honesty moment, because this channel does not deal in exaggeration. Almost none of this work has been replicated in large human clinical trials. Most of the studies are in cell cultures, in laboratory animals, or in small pilot studies with a few dozen volunteers. We can say with high confidence that the yellow compounds activate autophagy in living tissue. We cannot yet say, with the same confidence, exactly how much of these plants a human being would need to eat, over what period, to translate the laboratory effect into measurable lifespan extension. But the reason for the missing trials is not scientific, it is economic. A full clinical trial pathway costs between $1 million and $5 million per indication. Plants cannot be patented. No company will spend that money to prove the value of something its competitors can sell the next day for the same price. The science is honest about what it knows. The system is dishonest about why it has not learned more. 3 civilizations spent thousands of years confirming the value of these plants. The modern world, in the span of a single century, made all 3 nearly inaccessible to the people who would benefit most from them. Ashitaba cannot be sold as a fresh produce item in the United States. The FDA classifies it as a novel food, requiring expensive safety documentation that no company will fund, because the resulting approval would belong to no one. You can buy it as a supplement with no health claims allowed on the label. You cannot find it in a grocery store. Turmeric, the most famous of the 3, has fared somewhat better in the global marketplace, but at a cost that most people have never noticed. Go look at the turmeric in your spice rack right now. If it is standard grocery store powder, powder, you are looking at less than 2% curcumin by weight. Less than 2%. The bioactive forms used in Ayurvedic medicine, including fresh root preparations and traditional oil infusions, have been almost entirely replaced by a diluted yellow ghost of what the original tradition prescribed. The tradition was not erased, it was processed into invisibility and greater celandine. Greater celandine has been removed from most European pharmacies, but this one is not a simple story of suppression, and we are not going to tell it as one. Greater celandine contains potent alkaloids that, taken incorrectly, can cause severe drug-induced liver damage. The medieval monks knew this. That is why every historical preparation described it in microscopic dilutions, carefully measured, administered by physicians who had trained under other physicians for a decade before they were trusted with the yellow sap. The safety was in the knowledge, not in the plant itself. When that knowledge was allowed to die, what remained was a plant powerful enough to hurt people who did not know how to use it. The regulators were not wrong to restrict it. The regulators were late. The tragedy is not that greater celandine was removed from pharmacies. The tragedy is that the 1,000-year tradition of how to use it safely was permitted to disappear first. This is the pattern. Sometimes the regulation is economic protectionism dressed in a lab coat. Sometimes it is a genuine response to a genuine danger created by the loss of the tradition that once contained it. Both are true. Both are happening. And the net effect on the person standing in a modern pharmacy is the same. The yellow shelf is empty. The plants are not illegal. The truth is worse. Some are unprofitable. Some are unsafe in the hands of a public that forgot how to handle them. And in both cases, the knowledge that would change that situation is not being funded, not being taught, and not being transmitted. The plants still exist. The yellow sap still rises from the stems. The chalcones and the curcuminoids and the isoquinoline alkaloids still trigger the same cellular processes they triggered in the bodies of medieval monks and Ayurvedic physicians and Japanese exiles. Nothing about the chemistry has changed. What changed is who profits from your knowledge of it and who bears the cost of your ignorance. Ashitaba grows from seed in any climate that supports a tomato plant. Turmeric rhizomes can be planted in a pot on a kitchen windowsill. Greater celandine grows wild across most of the temperate world, including roadsides and stone walls in nearly every European city. It is the one that requires caution. It is also the one whose tradition most deserves to be recovered. The convergence is the evidence. When three civilizations, separated by oceans and by millennia, arrive independently at the same conclusion about the same color of sap. The question is not whether they were right. The question is why a system that calls itself scientific has spent the past century making it harder, not easier, for ordinary people to access what every previous civilization considered basic medicine. The yellow secret is not hidden. It was simply moved off the shelf where the average person could find it. The algorithms of the internet were not built to reward ancient, unprofitable knowledge. They were built to sell the modern shelf. This channel is rebuilding the old one video at a time, with the careful notes the monks kept, the studies the scientists published, and the honesty about what we still do not know. Subscribe to the Apothecary Vault, hit the notification bell, share this video with someone who needs to see it. The plants still bleed yellow. We just have to remember what it means.